Hardly will a day pass without a report of one or more cases of insecurity challenges in Nigeria. This trend, no doubt, has become a thing of concern to stakeholders across Nigeria. The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, a city housing the seat of power, is not spared of its share of security challenges, as there have been several reports of breach of security. Most recent of them is the 24-year-old lady that was found dead in a hotel in Gwarimpa, the house-to-house raid by suspected terrorists or hoodlums in Kubwa area of the FCT, and the case of bandits in their large numbers who were said to have attacked a military checkpoint in Abuja-Kaduna Express Road, just a stone throw to Zuma Barracks, it was said that there were about 10 military personnel who were supposed to have been around at that location. Now, given the growing insecurity in Nigeria in general and Abuja in particular, what is the true situation of most of the stories we see or hear on the spate of insecurity in the FCT? What should victims do when faced with some of these situations? What is the role of stakeholders in curbing insecurity? How can the public assist the police through the provision of useful information and expect their identities not to be made public? Our guests on today's episode of Nigeria Today shall be providing answers to these and other questions as we discuss increasing security challenges in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Ochi. Joining me in the studio is an Assistant Commissioner of Police, Nendel Gumwalk. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. Good evening, viewers. Thank you for having me.
Okay. And also joining us in the studio is a security specialist and president of the African Council of Narcotics, Repene Bassi. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay. ACP. We hear on social media and the conventional media about different security challenges in the FCT and Nigeria on a daily basis. Could you tell us the true spate of insecurity in Abuja as it is today and what we need to do as residents?
Thank you very much. As we all know, crime is a very, very integral component of our society. Our responsibility as law enforcement agents is to determine the nature of crime, where it happens, process the information that comes to us, and prefer crime prevention measures that can nip it in the bud, that can arrest and apprehend suspects, and channel them through the process of the judicial system. FCT, as of today, particularly as at the beginning of this year, has emplaced very, 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 very robust measures to make our presence felt as law enforcement agents as a deterrence to the perpetration of crime. Crime statistics have indicated that from arrests that are made, it means that information that is coming to us from the public is not only credible, but is useful. And it has been able to sustain a decrease in the prevalence of particularly violent crimes as it was predominant in the past.
Okay. Now, Bassi, let me come to you. How would you assess the spate of insecurity in Nigeria? And what are some of these security tips that you would want to recommend to viewers in case they are faced with any security situation?
I would say straight off that the situation is pretty much disturbing, very worrisome, because just when we think the situation is under control or is beginning to abate, then you hear of an incident that occurs in one part of the country or the other, like in the past 1 week. So that should be cause for concern for every Nigerian. And if I were to prefer the answer as to an immediate cause, and I would attribute it to the conflict in socio-economic conditions of the country. So much unemployment, and even when people are employed or those are employed, their welfare situation in terms of take-home pay, is almost swallowed completely by the level or rate of inflation in the country. And then, of course, you have the unfortunate incident of proliferation of arms through our various porous borders, small and light weapons, and of course, even drug trafficking. Most of the young people are in a hurry to make, quick money, and for them, the easiest way is either, some vice, prostitution, drug trafficking, which also has a consequence in substance abuse or drug abuse, and all of these, add, to the problem. And of course, you also have challenges that are associated with, maybe law enforcement strategies. Now, without disregard for the fact that the police and other security agencies are doing their very best, crime is also very dynamic, and then if you take into consideration the existing security architecture in terms of the manpower available to the police, for example,
yes,
and in relation to the total population figure of the country, which at present is estimated to be about between 215 to 220 million Nigerians, with an estimated police strength of about 380 or 400 thousand Nigerians. You see that the challenges are enormous.
Yes,
apart from the fact that there are also challenges with equipment and other structural measures like mobility that enables them to effectively tackle these challenges.
Let me come in here. He's talked about manpower, which is also a challenge. Now, what is the Nigeria Police? I'm talking to the ACP now. What is the Nigeria Police doing to ensure adequate security in Abuja despite these challenges? And what should be the role of residents in helping the Nigeria Police?
Right on the backdrop of the very frank comments of my distinguished colleague here, the Nigeria Police recognizes that we have manpower shortages because of wastages, retirements, and other things. That's known to everybody. However, what we have done is to try and engage the veritable tool of community policing, drawing in members of the public to know that the component of intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering must come from members of the public. And so we cover up that shortfall by getting members of the public to participate in doing the same things that we do, in what you see, what you hear, being conscious about the activities in your environment, and reporting it through the established channels that we have tried to make available through the placement of police stations on request by communities, through the dissemination of our emergency lines, so that people can pass information to us electronically in text message form, or place voice calls to us and give us information about crimes or the potential of crimes happening in the immediate environment. Of course, we have crime mapped almost all of the settlements and area councils within the FCT, so that as soon as we get information like this, we can deploy our human and logistic assets to respond to the distress situations that we have. And we've been able to achieve a response time under 10 minutes. That give or take, depending on the timing when it comes in, depending on whether or not the terrain is accessible by our motorized patrols, and whether or not even the other components of the security strategies that we employ are able to get to members of the public. But it has been encouraging. We're beginning to understand members of the public much better. They're beginning to understand us much better. We're beginning to show that we are accountable to them, because the community policing strategy makes them play the role where they see themselves as being policed with their consent. We bring in our mandate as law enforcement agents and require and request that members of the public tell us exactly what kind of security attends to their challenges. For now, the security situation is contained, has been contained.
In the FCT?
Yes, within the FCT.
Now let me still stay with you. What level of assurance would you want to give Nigerians that would love to give the police useful information on the non-disclosure of their identity to avoid any form of attack?
We've done a lot of sensitization within the FCT, I can say that much, in training, in reorientation of our personnel to prioritize, lay a high premium on confidentiality of information, regardless of whether you process it as credible, as long as that information comes in. The identity the identity of the person passing the information is not a priority at the point of receiving the information. What is required in the information that is brought is to give us precise location and precise information that we can act on. The communication systems are up and running. As soon as information is transmitted to us, we relay it through the very enhanced communication systems that we have. And most times we get reports back from members of the public that they can see that the intelligence that they have given us, the information processed, is actionable, resulting in arrests and prosecutions that are going on. We assure members of the public that we are committed. We are committed, despite whatever challenges that we are faced with. The priority of the safety and security of members of the public within the FCT is a high premium for every police officer. Okay. That is our pledge, that is our mandate.
Okay, Basi. Most times, because of the nature of our jobs, we either go to work very early or come back very late. What are some of the do's and don'ts in such ungodly hours so as to avoid falling victim of any form of insecurity? We had a case of one of us, a journalist, who on his way back home was killed.
Well, that's unfortunate and sad that the journalist should die in the circumstances. But, you know, quite a number of things may be done to avoid, you know, cases like that. If, for example, you close from work late, you can stay in the office. It's safer to stay in the office, or the nearest place where you can stay the night and feel safe. What I tell people is you're a lot safer if, for example, you go to the nearest police station and say, look, circumstances have made it such that I can't proceed further because it's late, on my trip. Are you kind enough? And I can assure you, and the Assistant Commissioner of Police will bear witness to that. You'll be, they'll gladly, offer you all the courtesies that you require for your, immediate security and safety. So, if going back to work late is pretty much dangerous. So, as much as possible, we must avoid that. And the other thing to avoid is making yourself a creature of habit is very dangerous. Well, what that means essentially is that when people can predict you what time you probably get up from bed, come out from your house, get in the car, which route you use, which vehicle, and you become a creature of habit, that makes you predictable. And I can tell you, that a lot of career criminals do not just go about in the execution of their crimes without first carrying out some surveillance or some recce or monitoring, closely watching their target, and then they do this over a period of time. So if you are security conscious, you'll be able to maybe watch that you're being followed. For example, if you're driving and you consistently see a vehicle driving behind you, through your side mirror, that should make you alert, make you become more conscious. And what that means is that you probably take the next turn and see whether the driver is still following you. And if there's another turn, also take that. And if he's still following you, your best bet is to drive to the nearest police station.
Now let's go on a break and listen to a victim of the Kubwa house-to-house raiding by over a 15-member gang right here in Abuja. Take a look.
The compound is located at Deeper Life English by Pipeline Kubwa, Abuja. So on Wednesday early morning by 1-2 a.m. we were all asleep when I don't know how to clarify them, whether they are bandits or terrorists, but they were large in numbers. So there was no lights. We were sleeping, and all of a sudden they barged in with their large population. They're up to 15. So they came and raided the compound, broke into our house. In my own case, they broke in with a gun and a knife. 3 persons. So they were holding gun, they were holding a knife and torch. They ransacked everywhere, took my phone and my brother's phone, and that was what happened that early morning. And they stabbed one of my friends that was staying with me, but the dip was not too much, after which they now left.
He did like, you know, when you forgot your key somewhere or you lost your key and you are coming to your house, you are banging it, like you are spoiling the gate with the whole confidence that, you know, that was what happened. He was banging. Before you know, he had removed all the hangers that you can use to lock the key. He removed it. As they opened the door, it was like flies. All of them just entered the compound, then shared themselves. Like the robbery happened at the same time. Like they did it sporadically. You get immediately. They came on our door. 3 bangs, the door opened. My door, my parlor door opened. Before you know it, Mama was even trying to enter inside the room and lock the room. I said, if they can open this one, that one is not anything. That's how he entered.
Welcome back. The program is Nigeria Today, and we're still discussing increasing security challenges in Nigeria. And our guests are still here with us. You just listened to some victims' accounts of the Kubwa house-to-house raid which took place yesterday. Now, ACP, what are some of these emergency phone numbers that the public can actually use to contact the police? And how prompt can the police respond to such calls and act accordingly?
Thank you very much. Before I do that, having heard the very, very tragic accounts of some of these victims, I would extend on behalf of the command our deepest empathy. Nobody should be subjected to that kind of trauma. Having said that, the FCT Police Command has established communication lines, 2 major established communications, so that you don't have so many out there and they become cumbersome for people to save. The first one, 0803 200, that's 200-3913. The second one is 0806 398 1913. I can take that again, 0803 200 3913 and 0806 398 1938. Now, these lines are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They never go off. These lines are available for people who will utilize them. We have used even platforms such as these ones now to do as much as we can to disseminate information to people so that they can use it in times of distress. Not necessarily distress. It's even information that you can, platforms that you can use to convey critical information. We get calls on these lines for fire incidents such as one that happened just yesterday morning, even health challenges, accidents, situations, and other things like that. Okay. And we have a robust interagency collaboration so that where relevant agencies, Department of State Services, Federal Road Safety Corps, National Security, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps can key into some of these things, the information, and still provide the necessary response that members of the public need. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Aside the numbers you called, we also saw 08061581938 right on the screen. You can also call that. Now let me go to Basi. What, in your opinion, should government and policymakers do to support the police to do their jobs more effectively?
Well, I think that let's begin with the police. They must be prepared to subject themselves to public scrutiny and be prepared to be held accountable for their activities and operations, because their mandate is to ensure the safety, survival, protection of not only lives but the property of the citizens. On the part of government, I would strongly advocate political will. We know the problems. We come around and we do a lot of proselyting upon the problem, and every now and then we just keep harping on what the challenges are, and so little is done thereafter. I think that there's a lot more that needs to be done. The police need to be better equipped. The police need better welfare in terms of remuneration. The police, the manpower in terms of existing human strength or human factor for the police needs to be improved upon, and that's very, very important. The police needs to be better funded. That beyond that, I want to commend, private effort. Like I see a number of police vehicles that are, that bear the Dangote logo and inscription. They are used for patrol vehicles. The way it is, members of the public, public-spirited individuals must rise to the occasion to also support the police, because crime is everybody's problem, and anybody can be a victim. So if we fold our arms and stay by the sideline and think it can never happen to us, then we'll be deluding ourselves. So every hand must be on deck. But even more importantly, I think that the need for to entrench community policing cannot be too emphasized. There's so much out there. The criminals that operate within and around us do not come from the woods, or do not fall down from heaven or come from underwater. They live amongst us. We know them, which is why community policing is very, very critical, very, very important. So we're able to know them. So we, in our various neighborhoods, we must take certain initiatives, specific initiatives that help us to also help the police do their work, and do their work very, very effectively.
Now, ACP, let me ask you this. How often do you get reports from the public on the spate of missing persons in Abuja? The issues of what Nigerians call one chance, and what is your advice when someone falls victim of one chance?
Okay, let me start with the latter issue. One chance, as it's called, is the christening that has been given to it, from what people understand it to be. Basically, it is armed robbery that happens in a moving vehicle. Now, the predominant mediums by which this happens is unsuspecting members of the public get engage public transport services where two or more people are already inside the vehicle, and they tell them there's only one more space for you. That's why they call it one chance. You get in there, and meanwhile it's a syndicate of people that are already in there, and they rob you while the vehicle is moving.
Sometimes with women.
Yes, most times women, because they believe that they're more vulnerable. Some of them are more vulnerable to these things. The advice that we've put out there through fora like this is to tell people, look, be very vigilant about the kind of vehicles you go into. When you see a vehicle that has, the prevalence of suspects, the prevalence of these crimes happen mostly with male suspects. So when you see a vehicle that is unmarked, it's an unpainted vehicle, perhaps it's not got the designated FCT colors on it, and they offer you that ride most times in the evening during the rush hour. Everybody's trying to get home, either to get to the office or to get home after closing hours. You look at it and you can decide to pass it on. Look and go into the public bus services if you must. Look and get 2 or 3 people that are close associates and colleagues, and see if you cannot get one particular vehicle that can take all of you. That reduces the vulnerability around that type of thing.
Okay. Now, the issue of missing persons.
Yes. Missing person reports, it's not as frequent as it may sound, but yes, missing person reports come in. Sometimes most people will come in and say, I've not seen my ward, I've not seen my child or my daughter for a period of time. The statute is that, we would advise you keep looking at least for 24 hours. So before we can classify that person as having been missing. Within 24 hours, all avenues for you to look at within reason where that person would have routinely have gone to have been exhausted. And when you come back, we said by the time you come, we get the description of the person, the last known associations of that person, contacts that they have had, and we put out the information even across state lines to find out. We've been able to rescue a lot of people that we've discovered were not just missing, but were probably abducted by relations or broken marriages and things like that. So it's not necessarily a missing persons case in that sense.
Okay.
However, we tell members of the public to be, particularly parents, to be vigilant around their wards, to be vigilant around their children, to look at, to conscientize them about having strangers coming in to take your children or pick them up from school, and those other efforts.
Okay, let me quickly ask Basi, in a few words, what is the role of the private security outfits in Nigeria, and do you sincerely feel they are actually helping in any way in the fight against insecurity?
Of course they are helping.
Okay.
I mean, even in public institutions, you find private guards, posted there on static duties, so and other such duties. So they are helping. What needs to be done or should be done is to have them properly better organized, and if possible, review the policies that under which they operate. I think there's an act of the National Assembly on private guard companies.
Okay.
We can take a look at that again. And the one point that I want to bring out here strongly is the fact that they do not bear arms. So how do private guards, for example, successfully encounter or tackle armed men, 10, 15, 20, 40 armed men with AK-47. Whereas, I think that this is very challenging. They need to review some of these policies, like it's done elsewhere. For example, in Israel and elsewhere, private guards, those persons who have been profiled and are found to be fit and proper persons are armed to carry out their work.
Okay. We hope that this will be the case here in our country. This is where we'll say goodbye on this episode of the program. And our discussion has been on the increasing security challenges in Nigeria. And with me had been the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Nendel Gamwok. Thank you for your thoughts and insight.
Thank you for having me.
And the security specialist and the president of the African Council on Narcotics, Rekpene Bassi. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We appreciate it. And to our viewers, thank you for being part of the program. Remember, you can still watch this episode and other ones on www.youtube.com/NTNews24hub. Thank you for your time. I am Lydia Oshi. See you tomorrow.